We're talking data relationships today. This is kind of a, we've seen this a little bit already. So you know, it's really not too much new that's going on here. So let's get into the right course here. Here we go. All right, let's go to syllabus. Data relationships. Okay, let's see. This is that tutorial database, and we're going here. Let's just open this up so we can have a look at it. All right, so we're download the database, tutorial, whatever. That's just, remember at the beginning of the course, we started working on a student database for courses. That's just a more blown out example. I put more data in it and set everything up. So you should have, the relationship should already be established there. Now, what I want you to do, we're going to do a little bit more advanced queries. So determine the average GPA group by major. All right, average GPA group by major. So what you're going to do is you're going to group by major, and then you're going to have a field for averaging. So you create that average field, and then so you're averaging a bunch of records. So the GPA is a field you're going to do the calculation on, but you're going to group it by major. All the majors will be together, all the chemistry majors will be together, and so on. And then of those records that are in those groupings, what's the average GPA? Does that make sense? That works. Now, what was the one you had trouble with the last name?
No, you don't even want to. You just said determine the total, so you want it to the total of credits. So basically the sum, which it should give me the answer what you're asking for, is sum of all credits earned, and I group it.
on a minute. My microphone's giving me problems here. All right, hopefully, how long were we going, 8 minutes? All right. I went and tapped my microphone and nothing, it wasn't comping, but that's all right. All right, what we were just doing was just debugging an SQL statement for Marcus. And what we did, when you did this, the aggregate function sum, and you had student dot last name, so it allowed you to group by student dot last name and then what is it, sum all the total credits earned, so that, yeah. So you had to group it by last name in order to include the last name.
So if we want to include the first name, we got to group it by first name as well? So if I want to include first name as well right now, I got to put group by,
Try it.
okay, so how would I do multiple,
Include.
I know how to do this part, but put them down here. You gotta put, if
You
I
got a
put
comma there?
Yeah, it gave me an error message, that's why I tried to do a comma last time.
Student dot last, first name, whatever. First,
In my head here.
semicolon.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Ding.
So you do-
Yeah, because in your case, every person who has the last name Smith is going to have the first name Joe or whatever. There.
Whatever you put up top, whatever you're using when the aggregate functions, which is some average stuff, any of the rest of the columns that you put have to be under the group. So if I want to include student ID, and if I want to include the date of birth, then when I'm putting them in for the columns to be pulled, they're selected. And I put date of birth up here, and I put student ID out here, I also got to put all that stuff down at the bottom
Mm-hmm.
in order for it to continue to work, bring the fields.
Apparently so.
Wow.
Ooh, excuse me. I would have thought you could have done that, but do you guys have any questions on?
Puzzling, figuring it out too. I can group them, but not thinking about average. Total credit earned group by name group.
So what we're doing today, for those of you guys at home, is we're just kind of going over some concerns that folks are having with the homework for this week. We have a database that I've provided on Canvas called tutorial.accb.db, and then, and then when you download that database, that's full of data. It's just an expanded version of the student database we did at the beginning of the semester. Create these 5 queries using SQL. And you can actually just create them in the database. Sometimes folks will create the code and put it in a Word document, but then I've got to copy it out of there and put it into a database to test it to see if it works. Put it in the database, and I'll just go and run them and see if they run. Okay, so since you have the database and all the data there, it'd be good for you from a programming standpoint to actually see the results when you get it to see if it works. And if it doesn't work, allow you to fix it. Do you have any questions?
Go to run reversely, like query by database, and kind of go back and figure out what's the proper way to do it. SQL code.
Well, you have the database. Oopsie. Back over here. Let's go back. There. You have the database. And let's open that up just for fun. Let's sort these objects by object type. Looks like there's a couple of queries already in there. Hope I didn't write them for you.
Do you know these boxes that pop up when we do like this, like you got student GPA?
Yeah, that means that it doesn't know what GPA you want. So if I were going to, let's see, there's all the students that we have. We've got a bunch of them in there. Courses, a bunch of those in there. And the schedules, this is for everybody that's signed up for all the courses. So if I were going to do this visually, I would create query design. And let's say I want to add that. Add that. Add that. I like to open these up so I can see them all. So then, let's say I wanted to do, what did I just do? What happened to all my tables? Ah. There they are. So I could do like course ID, title, grade, and then do like student ID, last name, first name. So get like a
Standard report.
like a grade report kind of thing, right? Then I want to change my view over here. Now, I haven't done anything, so it's kind of scattered all over the place. So I go back to my design view. One of the things I might want to do is I might want to sort them, right? So how would you sort these? If it's a grade report,
Sort by grades.
sort them by the students, or sort them by the course. How do you want your grade report sorted? By you?
Yeah.
All right, so I might sort it by last name, ascending order. Well, let's just test that out. This kind of gets us to what we want to see, although you haven't put any grades in. I got Mike first, then Mary, then Ann, then Jim, then Jim again, and Tim. So they're all graded. They're sorted by person, right? So maybe if I did, instead of grade, let's find another let's take grade out and change it to let's take that out. Instead of schedule, let's take courses and then just change it to credits. Okay, now let's try that one, see how that one works. Same thing, now I have all the credits. So what I might also do, let's see if this will let me do a group by. If I want to group it by, where's the grouping? All these buttons, they always hide them. Insert row, show table. Let's do, nope, that's not what I want.
Click on the total.
Where's total?
Upper right.
Here.
There we go.
There we go, group by. Group by credits, and I want to give me a sum for credits. See what I get.
Should you group by the title, by the courses? You know, some credits.
Mm-hmm. Problem, I think, is I have too many fields here. Group by, what is, oh, you know what? Let's take,
How do you delete a column like that, an entire column?
how do I delete it?
Highlight, delete.
I tried to highlight and delete it earlier today. Like, you click on the thing, but it won't let you do it. Like, I had to literally erase all of that out of each one of them and delete it.
Right. Your mouse pointer.
Oh, right here?
Gotcha. Wait.
Delete.
Nice. Okay, cool.
Or you can do cut.
Cut.
The query.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Doesn't work. That one you don't want to do
That's the
that.
wrong thing I did.
It's just
Shoot.
user friendly.
Yeah.
Totals. Oh, I think I botched this whole thing up. Okay, this was working. I don't know. It just disappeared. I don't know what happened to it. Poof. Ah. Create query. I don't know, back to this thing.
Oh, I think I'm not worried about the version. 2007 is okay. We have 2013.
Let's do a simple one, a simpler one. Let's get rid of this one. Delete that one, and let's delete that one. More simple one would be, I want course ID, title, description, credits, and then I want to group by sum, but I don't think that's going to give me what I want. What happens if I go out here and view it? Nope, it didn't give me what I wanted. Let's try this. Add that one, and instead of that course ID, yeah, I'll take the other one. All right. Take this course ID out of here. Let's see if that does it, because this course ID is different than that course ID, right? The one in schedule is different than the one in courses because I have repeating values of course ID in schedule, so I can group by that. And hey, there you go. See the difference? Let me go back to my design view. I grouped by, I did a sum of credits. And it's, usually it doesn't matter. If I'm using course ID, it usually doesn't matter if I'm using courses course ID or the scheduled course ID. The same thing. But what I do is I group by course ID here, and description and title. So wherever this course ID matches the course ID in courses, I'm going to find the same description and title. So that's going to be the same. But I use the course ID and schedule. The reason I did that was because there are multiple records for each one of those courses, because I have more than one person signed up for each course. So this tells me, here's something that would work for, and here at USF administrators are constantly worried about student credit hours. So if we offer a course and 100 people take it, then that's 300 student credit hours. And departments, their budgets get developed based on how many student credit hours they serve. So this would tell you how many student credit hours Accounting 1 has. There are 3 people for that. And there are organic chemistry. There are 12 student credit hours there. There are 8 for general biology. Get the idea? Now, if you want to go back and look at the SQL code for that, okay, it says select courses.course title, courses.description, sum courses.credits as sum of credits. Okay. Then schedule.course ID. Now it doesn't interjoin here. From courses interjoin schedule on courses.course ID equals schedule.course ID. Okay. Group by courses.title, courses.description, schedule.course ID. So the schedule.course ID is going to give me repeating values. Then it's going to exercise that join to fill in all those the sum of the credits. Want to see the difference between the old way and the new way? The old one I had it? Okay, I'll go back, change my view to design view, and if I take out the schedule here, schedule table, take that one out, which means that field goes away. Now I use course ID here, all right? Course ID from courses. Now you watch what happens when I change my view back to datasheet view. Come on. Instead of having 9 and 8 and all that, I've got how many credits I have for each course. You know, so for each offering of the course, a student can get 3 credit hours or 4 credit hours. This is just using the courses table. If I want to know what the student credit hours are for all the people who signed up for this stuff, I have to use the schedule table because that's where the enrollment is. So I change my view to design view. I take this field out.
So it doesn't matter how you join them then, basically.
It does in this case. Take that field out, and now I'm going to add, where's my show table? Here, I'm going to show the schedule. There, and instead of picking course ID from the courses table, I'm going to pick it from, keep doing that. I'm going to pick it from the schedule table, which is going to give me all the repeating values. So they're going to have multiple records with the same course ID in it. Now when I change this back and I go into my datasheet view, now fundamentals of accounting, 9 credits, which means there are 3 people signed up for that one. English grammar 3, and general engineering 9, which is 3 people. So you can see how I have a total of the credits per course. So if I had 100 students signed up for organic chemistry, which would be a relatively small section, because there's usually 300 or 400 in there. So if I had 100 people show up, then I would have 400 credit hours. Do you see how that works? So you can join 2 tables together to do this. What you got to remember is, if I'm going to look at a sum of credit hours, in this case credit hours, for courses, and I want to see all the people who enrolled in that course, I have to include my schedule table for that. So in order to make this work, I picked the course ID out of schedule instead of picking the course ID out of courses. And when I do that, it allows me to take the title, description, and credits, and then I do a sum on the credits. That making any sense? Sometimes this is kind of subtle and it gets a little bit confusing, but most of the time it doesn't make a hill of beans worth of difference whether you pick the course ID from courses or the course ID from schedule. When you're using aggregate functions, it can make a difference.
So whenever we use the aggregate function, like you said, we got to put it in a group. We got to group by the same aggregate function that we got to put in the group the same title that we put up there for the selection. So if we do last name, first name, whatever we put up there in selection, you have to include it in the group in order for it to show up and for it to run.
Now, if I pick this field here and I move it, what I'm really saying is take the course ID field in schedule and group by that course ID. So each unique value I'm going to group by. Then I'm going to use that relationship to figure out what the title and the description are. And I'm going to do a sum of the credits based on course ID, title, and description. Make sense?
Yeah.
Because if I just look at the schedule table, right, I have all these records in here, and all I have is student ID and course ID. That's all I have. So when I go into my query, I'm taking course ID from schedule because see how I have business 3100, business 3100, then I come down here, philosophy 1000, philosophy 1000. You see how those repeat? So it's going to sum it's going to group all of these courses together so it takes out the duplicates. But when it does that, it's going to sum up the credits by each group.
So each group is going to have only one sum. So if you have,
Right.
you might have 4 businesses, but you're only going to have one sum for 4 businesses.
Right.
All the credits.
Right. When I go and look at my view, there was an issue with psychology. No, I don't have it here. I guess I didn't have anybody signed up for psychology. How are we doing with this? Any better?
Well, a little more comfortable.
And this is just the SQL view of that. So I'm using an inner join to tie in schedule on course ID, and then I'm grouping by schedule.course ID, course.title, courses.description. Reason I can get away with that is because for each course ID, it relates back to the same title and description. So those will be the same for each course ID. So it allows me to group on that whole expression. Any other questions?
Just think one thing for an experiment.
Were the examples in the book any help at all?
because I cannot make it work at times. But if I run it by query, yeah. By average. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions on this? Good?